Hey there, welcome to the Eurostep, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast coming to you for the fifth Bucks season, the fourth Bucks season with the dynamic duo of myself, Ty Windisch, one of your hosts, and the true dynamo, Rohan Katti, my co-host. We are able to say the year's stuff because the Bucks just played their first preseason game of the 2022-23 season. Rohan and I watched it. We were too excited to wait until Monday to record, so we're coming at you live Sunday morning. What a Sunday delight. Rohan, how is it going, my friend? And welcome to year 4 of us doing this thing together.
Year 4, it's crazy. It's crazy. It really is. Like, this is the fourth. It feels like I've been doing this forever, but also for like no time at all. So I guess that averages out to reality.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense. But
I feel like in some ways, it should be 5 because during the pandemic we did binge the Bucks and went back through the first season that the Eurostep, this podcast covered, myself and Kane Pittman. So we've really gone through all 5 of the seasons together, but just not, in the typical chronological order. But that's okay. Let's get into this game. I mean,
yes,
we're so excited.
Basketball.
There's a lot going on at GSPN. As we've told you, the Packers look great. The Brewers exist. GSPN.info for Cruising for a Bruising, Talk of the Tundra, all those pods. Check them out. But the Bucks are back. Basketball is back. We got to watch this team for the first time. And I think it's kind of hilarious in a game where we saw MarJon Beauchamp's debut. We saw Jordan Nwora starting after the drama of the summer. We saw Jrue Holiday and Brook Lopez play. All of this stuff happened. Pat, Giannis. Pat comes before Giannis for some reason. Giannis, Pat, Wes, all sat out. Obviously, Khris was out as well as Joe Ingles. But all the stuff happening. We have to start with Grayson Allen because,
yes, we do.
Much to your delight, Rohan, Grayson Allen was the best Bucks player in this game. He played 18 minutes, so not a ton more than Jrue Holiday and Brook Lopez, who both played about 15. But in those 18 minutes, I was really watching this game. The stats are great, but really watching as many plays as possible closely. I don't remember a Grayson Allen mistake. If maybe one or two very minor ones, he was on point the whole game. So as the resident Grayson Allen apologist, I'd love to hear you break down this game from Grayson Allen.
Well, it was good to see more refined skills. More refined offensive skills. One of the things I've been clamoring on about Grayson Allen this offseason, and I guess throughout the entirety of the season, is he needs to get more involved in the offense. We saw that when he was a more featured piece last season, when, like, let's say one of Khris, Jrue, or Giannis was out, he was able to step in, do a lot of stuff because he was more able to get like shots off. And then when everyone was healthy, the problem was he wasn't finding his rhythm, finding his shots because he was too people were guarding him from outside. And he didn't really know how to exist outside of that space. But in this game, he starts out with a drive to the rim. And I was like, ooh. I mean, it got goaltended, but I'm pretty sure it was going in.
Yeah, it looked good.
It did look good. But him starting off that way just made me think, oh, okay, this has been a point of emphasis. Because one thing we've learned about the Bucks in their preseason during Mike Budenholzer's tenure, Mike Budenholzer also out, by the way, is Charles Lee coaching the game.
Yeah, I don't think we have a ton on Charles Lee, but glad that he got to do this. And as Taylor Jenkins said, he'll be a head coach soon. I think that's
for sure.
Pretty. Not that we noticed some crazy takeaway that says that, but this is something where you just read what other people say, and everyone is very high on Charles Lee. So shout out to Mr. Charles Lee.
For sure. But one thing we've known from Budenholzer and his coaching staff, as I should say, throughout the years in the preseason is whenever they come out, they try to hit whatever weaknesses they want to address immediately. And so when you see Grayson Allen making a concerted effort to go and get to the rim, go and be a driver, go and be a creator on his own, it's like, okay, this is something that they want to do. This is something that has been hammered home to Grayson Allen, or Grayson Allen has been hammering home himself. I'm not entirely sure which one it is. But it's more like, yeah, Grayson's going to be more involved in the offense this season. That was my big takeaway, because it's impossible for him not to be. That's his big skill. That's what he brings to the table. If you're not going to do it, you're just wasting him out there. That's why we saw him sort of straddle between a role that it's not entirely sure what he's going to be doing. Like that's why Wes Matthews took his starting spot by the end of the season, because you're unsure of what Grayson Allen brings to the table, unsure of what his role, his fit is within this offense. If you make him a featured piece of the offense, that's the best utilization of his skill set, and it's going to be best overall for the team.
Yeah, so my takeaway, I mean, obviously he looked great, but I thought what I liked is what you mentioned, the way he was like getting to the rim. There was the goaltend. He made a really nice drive, like kind of scoop around. You kind of forget, he's pretty long, it feels like. He's able to use his long arms and maneuver around a post defender and lay it in off the glass. He also had a pretty wild layup attempt that was missed at one point. But I don't know how many games last year at all Grayson Allen was driving, and not just like wide open driving, but losing his defender or beating his defender or using a screen and driving and getting to the rim 3 times in 18 minutes. I would hazard a guess that is much, much more frequent than a per minute basis he was getting to the rim last season in any context. So for me, my takeaway was, he's not going to be this involved all the time, right? And Khris and Giannis are playing. There's going to be less Grayson Allen. What I really liked was his aggressiveness and decisiveness. Like even the wild layup attempt that I don't know if there's any universe it was going in. I'm thinking he's probably just going for a foul or something. I didn't hate that play at all because that's how Grayson needs to play every time he touches the rock, basically. As you said, that's his skill set, his offense. And actually, we'll get to his defense. He was very, very solid on defense against Memphis as well. Worth noting, Memphis didn't play anybody. Like this was Santi Aldemar.
Kenny Lofton Jr. played.
Kenny Lofton Jr., who is like Kevin McHale 2.0, is the chest on that guy.
He's a linebacker.
He is a linebacker. Kennedy Chandler played, but none of the mainstays for Memphis played. So that it is a grain of salt, but I still think, I don't think a lot of the things we're going to talk about are just because of the opponent, and also the Bucks were without quite a few key players too. But anyway, I just loved his aggression, whether it was shooting, going around a screen and shooting. A lot of screens in this game. I'm going to be interested to see, is that just like a preseason training wheels thing, or are they going to use more screens? As anyone who's listened for most of the 4 years of us can attest, we'd be totally fine if they were going to incorporate more screens into the offense. It did seem like it freed up some good looks for guys in this game. But I just like the aggressiveness and the decisiveness from Grayson. And I think that's the key to him being a very useful piece for this Bucks team, even when everybody is healthy, which hopefully happens at some point this year, is that even if it's half the touches, I want him to be as aggressive every time he touches it, which it felt like he was just too willing to be passive at points last season or just not finding the ball. And this time it seemed like he was gravitating to the ball more, both starting possessions, going and getting it to handle, and, really being dynamic when he got it, which always gets you the ball more. So I thought these are things that Grayson just needs to take into every game, even if he's not going to shoot 14 times, right? But still, regardless, was just great to see this and great to see this response. Number 12 wearing Grayson is absolute monster out there.
Best number 12 in recent Bucks history?
No, it's going to be hard. Was it year 3 of Jabari, I think? He started out, he looked like he was going to be an all-star.
Yeah.
I need to see more.
It was mostly a joke.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, I'd love to seriously consider it down the line if Grayson is like 16
Grayson Allen going
points
to be
a
an
game.
all-star this season? He might be.
No.
Why not? Why can't we start propaganda time?
Because I don't want to start more propaganda that leaves Khris and Drew out of the game when they belong there.
Drew's not going to make it anyway.
He made it last year. Khris made it last year. I got it confused. Drew should have made it last year and didn't. Well, Khris probably won't make it. Oh, he might not miss that much time.
Drew's not going to make it because of the guard talent in the East.
That's a good point.
So might as well start the Grayson Allen propaganda.
Let's not do all-star stuff now. What other thoughts do you have on Grayson Allen?
No, I'm kidding. But just you said it well. The decisiveness is what really stood out to me. Just the quick decisions, the smart decision making. You have to be able to work very, very quick in these type of situations, because if you take your time, the defense has its time to recover, because Grayson is an outlet. Like, as much as I want to say he's going to be a featured piece, I meant to say like he's more going to be involved in the offense. But like, defenses are going to load up against Drew, Giannis, Khris. So whenever Grayson has an opportunity, it's because he's an outlet. So when you're in and out, you have to be quick on your feet. You have to make decisions quickly so you can leverage the defense that's out of position against you. So if Grayson is able to keep up this quick decision making, this decisiveness, that's going to be really, really important going forward. And I'm very, very excited for a redemption season from Grayson Allen.
Me too. And I think the aggression translated to his defense. He had a steal that led to, it wasn't Beauchamp's dunk, was it? I think it was Nwora dunk.
Yeah, I think
poked it loose. The player recovered it. He dove to get it back, kicked it up to Mamu, who scooped past to Jordan Nwora for a dunk, which is one of the most preseason plays of all time. But he knocked another ball loose and almost was able to throw it in off of the Grizzlies player later, I think in that same quarter. And just all around, and I think aggressive he had 5 rebounds, aggressive on the boards too, but always controlled. Like it wasn't, early season Grayson aggressive where people wanted him locked up. It was like good, clean, good basketball plays. And, it was just really encouraging to see. After the last time we really saw Grayson was playing some of the worst ball we've seen from him in the Celtics series, this was certainly the right foot. I think there's still going to be some fans who are interested in, trading him or not going to trust him until the next playoff series when he has a chance to prove himself there. But for now, all he can do is, as the Bucks say, get better every day, build good habits. And there was no bad habits on display from Grayson Allen in this game, which absolutely rules.
No, that's why you earned an initial double up stock time.
Yeah, the meaningless stock market for preseason. We're not tracking it. For people asking, we are going to do an IPO, as somebody said in the Discord cleverly, initial podcast offering. Nice. But we are going to, because people were like, why is Giannis starting at 1, the same as, George Hill? It doesn't really make sense. It's a good point. So people will start with values this season, but we'll get to that later. But yes, Grayson Allen, the lone double up stock. It was all up stocks. Even though the Bucks lost, they blew a fourth quarter lead. We'll get into it. But where do you want to go from here? Nobody else had 2 up stocks, so now we have quite a few players we could bounce around to.
Let's get Jrue and Brook out of the way.
Okay.
So those are the only 2 starters from the end of last season who are actually playing in this game. That surprised me, first and foremost.
That they played?
Yeah.
I love it, though, because I think the minutes with some real players are really good for these young guys, whereas if we went into this game and it was, no offense to any of these guys, but Jevon, Grayson, Nwora, like Mamu, and somebody, Serge, then the whole game to me is just kind of slop. Like, it's just not going to work right. And the structure that Brook and Jrue, even just for 15 minutes, provide, I think is useful for analyzing these guys. So I hope the whole preseason is just like different starters resting, but we do get to see, we want to see guys with real players. I think it's more useful.
Yeah. I mean, they shot a combined 4 of 10. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
We're not going to learn anything about them.
No, I thought they both looked fine, what I expected. Jrue made a nice step back 3. He had 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal in his 15 minutes. So certainly active. And Brook, 5 points. He did make a 3. That was nice to see.
He did.
He and
Splash
Serge,
Mountain back at it.
All 3 centers, Brook, Serge Ibaka, and Marques Bolden, all made a 3 in this game. So
Marques Bolden.
I thought it was Marcus.
No.
Is that you hearing from that from the broadcast or from outside sources?
From the pronunciation guide.
Okay. I always thought it was Marcus. I heard Steve Novak say it Marquise. I was like, that confirms it's Marcus to me. But understood that it is Marquise. But yeah, all 3 of the centers made a 3, which is fun.
Yeah. Always good to see some spacing from the big guys.
Yep.
But yeah, Jrue and Brook, we're not going to learn a whole lot from them. Bobby is the same way.
Yeah. Pretty good hustle for a preseason game. The shot was kind of there. He biffed a couple of plays, but yeah, it's Bobby Portis. That's the most reassuring thing I think you can really see in preseason from these guys is like, yeah, that looked like Jrue, Brook, and Bobby, right? Like there's no weird like injury thing that seems to be happening. They don't seem to have regressed. They're just them.
They're not out here trying like spinning step backs or anything.
Jrue played, and I mean they all did to an extent, but I'd say especially Jrue, like he played those 15 minutes. It was fun to watch him play again, but on both ends. But
yeah. I was honestly like, take it easy, bro. Like,
right?
It's not that serious.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. I think no new takes on those guys, and I'd be surprised if guys who have been around the team for that long, if we did have anything that really stood out at this point, aside from just looking healthy. So that's pretty much all I've got as well on the three, locked in. I mean, I guess Grayson is too, but the other three locked in rotation guys.
For sure. Yeah. There's not a whole else we're going to learn there.
Should we go to the last starter then? The surprise starter?
Yeah, let's do it. Is it a surprise starter?
I think so. Jordan Nwora.
Yeah, Jordan Nwora. He's back. He has a new contract, and he's still doing Jordan Nwora things.
Yes, to some extent.
Okay, give me what you think.
I thought overall it looked a little more like a real NBA player and not just it's Jordan Nwora time. Like I thought he functioned more within an offense. It was less, I thought, of just like chucking and more, there's actions happening with other players and then Jordan Nwora is getting a shot up. I think my least favorite thing was how many times he would like dribble around a screen and take one step in and then shoot a long two. Like, dude, just loop around a little farther and take the three. Like it's so much more advantageous and you can make pull-up shots from literally anywhere. But overall, I mean, Nwora, of course, can score. He still can score. 21 points on 15 shot attempts. He led the Bucks in his 28 minutes of action. 7 for 15 from the field, just 2 of 6 from deep, 5 for 7 from free throw, 8 rebounds, including 3 offensive. I did think he was pretty aggressive on the glass. 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers. The drives as a lead ball handler, not it. That is not what we want to see. But also, I don't think we ever really expected to see that. I think Nwora is a play finisher. And the possessions where he did that, I thought overall were pretty good. You're not in.
I'm not in yet. It's still like what you said isn't wrong. Like there is validity to that. I need to see more. I need to see more because like overall it still felt like regular old Jordan Nwora.
But I mean, to a certain extent, I just don't know how much it's not going to feel like that in preseason.
Shouldn't? Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, there's just some inherent. There's like half of this game was just pure slop.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I see what you're saying. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's ready to step in and be a every night role player when the Bucks are healthy. I just thought overall it looked like baby steps toward that. I mean, again, I still think he maybe freelances a little too much. But the other part of it is most of the times where I go, I don't know about that shot. He actually hits the shot. Like he has the shot making ability.
Except at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, except at the end of the game. I was kind of tuned out by then.
At the end of the game where it's actually a close game. Yeah. And you're up by 2, you take a bad 3, and then don't get back in transition and give up an easy.
I know. We
go ahead bucket.
He almost lost the upstock for that from you. You were not happy with that, which I understand.
I mean, like, come on, like this is your opportunity to shine, and it's like you have an actual close game situation, and you're doing that.
Yeah,
and you're doing that, Ty. I mean, how are you supposed to win anyone over doing that?
That's fair. I just thought the first half generally mattered more in this game. Like as the game went on, it felt like it got more sloppy. But yeah, you also don't, even in a weird game like this. And at halftime, interviewed by Zora Stevenson, Nwora did say like preseason game matters as much as regular season games. It all matters, which for him is certainly true. Like it does matter as much. For most guys, it may not be true, but for Nwora, it is. But yeah, it's not a good display at the end of the game to basically hand it over to Memphis. Yeah, certainly some good and bad with Nwora. He can still score, but there's still that built-in, oh, God.
And I feel like that's always going to be there, which is why I was a little on the contract. Like, whatever. Yeah. Whatever.
He feels like literally the opposite player of MarJon Beauchamp.
Yeah.
I think somebody said if those two could be fusion danced together, the Bucks would just be juggernauts.
That would be the greatest player of all time if it was those two combined.
Yeah. Playmaking and shot decision making and defense and athleticism of Beauchamp, plus the just pure scoring ability of Nwora. It's pretty much just the scoring we're taking from Nwora. That player is like 10-time All-Star.
Speaking of, can we talk about Beauchamp?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna be watching Nwora closely from here on out, because I just think it's just the whole thing with him is interesting. And I don't know if we figured it out still. Everyone just said he's going to be traded. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that's the only reason. But yeah, let's talk about Beauchamp, our first real Beauchamp action with something resembling the real Bucks.
If you just look at the box score, you're going to be like, oh, what's going on here? 1 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. But it's his first NBA game, and he looked like a rookie. He did look like a rookie.
Yeah.
To be clear, we're not expecting him to be like a real impact player year 1, game 1. But like that's unrealistic expectation. What we're looking for here is flashes, what he can become as a player. And what we saw today were some flashes, Ty. We saw some flashes. There was one play that stood out to me in particular where he went to the line. He was 2 of 2 from the line in his one trip.
That was cool to see.
But he got the ball on the move, going to the rim, and tried to detonate on some guy. He went up with mean intentions. And the reason he had to be fouled is the player wasn't even able to get into guarding position because he was there so quick. That's what stood out to me. He was a dart to the rim. Yeah. That quick slashing explosiveness is what I've been wanting on this team forever, Ty. I've been going on about this for years, and it's here. He's here, and he's beautiful.
I'll say even to the transition dunk, which on its face, like, you know, a transition dunk is
no take fouls.
No take fouls. But what stood out to me about that, and again, in itself, like Nwora had a transition dunk. It's fun. It doesn't really, you know, leaking out in transition and dunking is not bad, but it's also not, you know, oh my God, that's going to define this player's career. But what did stand out to me about MarJon's transition jam, I mean, it was a sick dunk, but even it was before the actual dunk that I liked the most. Because how often have we seen Bucks players start out roughly equal to the other team, and either they can get in front of them or foul them or make the play more difficult than it has to be, maybe even stop it. And again, it was like Santi Aldama or something. It wasn't like the most athletic player in the world going with him. But Beauchamp separated immediately. Like, it wasn't one of those where he had already leaked out and there was nobody around. It was, again, he was roughly, I'd say, level to the defensive player, and he was just gone. And that really shows you like that in both athleticism, speed, like acceleration, all of that stuff. And that matters. I mean, that an open dunk is basically 2 points in every situation. There's going to be guys who biff them, but it's pretty rare. You know, any sort of contest, that shot expected points goes down.
Shout out Brandon Knight.
Yeah, oh God, let's not. I think 2 in 1 game. Love you, Brandon Knight.
I'm talking about the game-winning layup attempted.
Yeah. I think he did that twice in that game, but I'm not. I don't know. But anyway, Beauchamp just separated and then detonated, and it was like, whoa! Like, you could really see why the Bucks are excited to add someone, as you say, who just has that quick twitch, just burst. That, you know, Giannis. Yes, I think a lot of the times Giannis kind of has to play with the Rock Lee ankle weights on because he just has to do so much. Whereas we're going to see Beauchamp every opportunity. With how young he is, he's not going to play huge minutes. Well, I think we're going to see that every possible opportunity. And I'm really excited about it. I thought the defense as well, as advertised, he too was a strong, aggressive rebounder, really going up to get boards, which is just one of those things that, is it hard? No. Are there some players who just never do that? Yes. Like, it's not built into everyone. It is built into him. Also had 2 steals, 1 assist, 1 block. 4 turnovers. He as well, the playmaking. The
block and steal, one of the steals came in succession too. Like, he stopped a fast break on his own with that block. Went back down the next defensive possession and got a steal. A
little bit of that Dante in terms of just like, he can wreck a possession. Just that one skill. You know what I'm talking about. The Bucks don't. Drew, obviously, but I mean, Brook can block at the rim, but the way Dante would just blow up a play out of nowhere, there was some of that with Beauchamp, I would say, where he's just like, oh, that play just ended, and it looked like it was going to be a decent shot, and now it's over, and it's a Bucks fast break. That's going to be really valuable, too. The playmaking, the shooting, works in progress. He is certainly a rookie. He had 4 turnovers. But, yeah, I'd agree with you. We're looking for flashes, and they were on display.
And one of those turnovers, I don't even think was his fault. There was one possession where Drew was at the rim, and he had the defensive help came. He had to go kick it out.
Yeah.
Beauchamp recognized that and started darting to the rim, Drew assumed he was going to be in the corner, and then it just went off Beauchamp's hands.
Yeah.
But that's a play where I don't think Drew's used to playing like with a guy like that.
Well, Drew, we have some quotes after the game, courtesy of Eric Name of The Athletic. They talked about that play, and Beauchamp basically said, I should have stayed in the corner. Drew talked to me after and said, basically, like, I'll find you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I'll get the pass there. We want you in the corner taking that shot. So, but I agree. That's a miscommunication. There was plenty of those for both teams throughout the game. But the quote, that's not what I teased you before the podcast.
You did.
And said, I've got a quote you're going to like. It's actually probably a couple of quotes on Beauchamp. So, Wes Matthews was in his ear every time Beauchamp went to the bench. Basically, Eric Name reports this. And 2 quotes. So the first one is cool. The second one I think you'll really like. That's love, man, Beauchamp said of Matthews. That's my guy. First day I met him, he's been genuine and been there for me and just trying to help me because he's been in the league for 14 years. That's crazy, by the way. 14 years. I mean, you know that, but hearing it, it's crazy. Anyway, back to the quote. Beauchamp didn't say all that. Some of that was me. So he knows a lot. And I'm just taking it all in. But he's been hyping me up since I've been here. And here is an earlier quote. Wes didn't talk after the game, but an earlier quote from Wes, which I had not seen before. Anything that he's going through, he's never going to be alone with it. He can always come to anybody, Matthews said. And sometimes we may even see it before he wants to come to somebody about it. It's like a village raising a son. He's got some special to him, and we all see it, and we're all excited for him to be here and help in any way that we can.
That's a solid quote. That's a really good quote.
It is a manifestation of what we talked about, though, in terms of the vets on this team, especially at the wing position. It's a perfect environment for MarJon Beauchamp, and it's clearly playing out as we'd hoped because those quotes are like exactly what we wanted to hear from the vets about Beauchamp and vice versa.
I'm getting too excited, Ty. I'm getting too excited. Everyone listening knows Beauchamp's my guy.
Apparently, he's the whole Milwaukee Bucks rosters guy too.
I gotta calm down.
Do you have any more Beauchamp thoughts, or should we move on for now?
No, I mean obviously you'd like to see some shot making.
Yeah.
His only made field goal was that dunk.
Yeah, it was literally like what we said going in. Like his defense should get him on the court. The offense is a question mark. We're still there, basically.
He was hounding guys full court.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. He's a long, big guy, and he's hounding guards full court. Like, that's menacing.
Imagine, like, the rotation could well have him, Drew Holiday, Jevon Carter, and Wesley Matthews, and then with Giannis and Brook on the back line. How are you supposed to live as an offense?
What do you do? How do you score?
We might have to build out, like, the Drew Holiday or jump into a pit of snakes thing, like, we might have to multipath it. Like every layer of the defense, you have to make a decision. Like, would you rather try to run through Wes Matthews and his body of pure stone, or like, I don't know, jump into a pool full of electric eels? Like, there needs to be multiple.
Take a shower with a bear.
There's a context there that a lot of people would find fun. So let's move on from that one. I mentioned Jevon Carter. He was the only other one of those defensive players who played. Wes did not.
Was he a defensive player, Ty, or was he more of an offensive initiator in this game?
And so we gave Jevon an up stock. Surprisingly, nobody pushed back, despite the fact that he was 1 for 5. I also thought his defense was just okay in this game. I think he actually did take it a little bit easy. Ball handlers were getting past him a little easily, but he gets the up stock because they let him play point guard. And as you mentioned there, and I thought this was really striking. And, you could say it's preseason, whatever, like it's not that big of a deal. But he was out there with George Hill for a lot of the game. And he was out there, I don't know if he played much with Drew, but he's out there with Grayson a bit. He's out there with Lindell a bit. And Lindell kind of took over late. I think Jevon had kind of stopped playing at that point. But I thought they really put the ball in his hands and let him handle. And this was a take. I got a lot of pushback from my GSPN friends. I have maintained I think Jevon can do a little more handling, a little more play initiating than we think. He did it in this game. He took over. George Hill was more off ball. And overall, I thought the results were really good. He, again, 1 for 5. He didn't shoot well, although I thought he got some good looks. The one shot he made was a really tough shot off the bounce. And he does that like every 3 games. I'm like, maybe you should take that shot more, Jevon. But missed some good looks. He had 4 assists to just 1 turnover, also 3 rebounds. Also led the Bucks in plus 12 in this game. If he can really be the backup point guard, it would be huge long term because he's 26 versus George Hill, who's 36, 35. That would be a big help if they're able to, keep bringing him in and get him up to some bird rights here. B, it would help this season because we're kind of trying to figure out the backup backcourt. We keep coming back to, we can't call Jevon a 1, so you kind of need George Hill or maybe just Grayson Allen come off the bench and handle the ball. What if we can call him a backup 1? And then you just have a bunch of 2 and 3 options to fit around him. It's one preseason game. We don't want to take it too far. But I thought this was really exciting to see Jevon put in that position to be the backup point guard. I thought he did well with it despite the cold shooting.
No, it was really good to see. I honestly didn't expect that to happen. Like, I was not expecting to see Jevon Carter, George Hill lineups where George Hill is taking a back burner. I think this is probably the best case scenario here. We see George Hill, we hear his quotes. We talked about this on our Media Day reaction pod, where he's talked about the quotes with George Hill. And I brought up how it's more important to see that he's recognizing what his role should be and that he should take more of a back burner, let a guy like Jevon Carter take the reins a little bit more. And we're actually seeing that in practice. And I get practice, but like a game, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Different version of practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's really good to see that. And plus, if you have George Hill as what would he be there? Like their 5th ball handler, like their 5th string point guard. Like that's pretty good. Yeah. If you knock George Hill down a peg, he's massively overqualified for that role. Which is a good thing. Looking
at the career, Jevon Carter's actually had a couple of very high assist games. Jevon Carter almost had a triple-double in Phoenix.
Ooh.
He had, this must have been a junk game. He played 42 minutes, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists in that game for Jevon. He also, I completely do not remember this, he had an 8 assist and a 7 assist game for the Bucks last season. Clippers and Wolves, 2 games the Bucks lost by a lot of points, but 6 games total last year where we had 4 or more assists. So not a ton. Has not gotten to do it a ton. I thought the results were good. I still think his handle, it's almost a little like younger George Hillish, and that's just like really tight. He moves fast. I'd say it's a little more herky-jerky, and the 1 turnover was I think he moved a little too fast and kind of lost the ball versus a defender. But overall, I just think there's not a ton of guys who have as tight of a handle and can move as quick as Jevon. And he's not
he's shifty. He's a shifty guy.
He is, and strong too. I think
Bulldog.
Bold, exactly. All the stuff he can do, I know there's obvious limitations, size probably being number 1. There's still, I think, a really interesting player in there. And for his age, what is Jevon now? He's 26 or 27? 27.
Something like that.
Just turned 27 last month in mid-September. I was going to say this month. I forgot it's October now. Happy October, everybody. But for for a 27-year-old player, I still think there's a decent amount of development that could happen just because, this is a guy who post West Virginia has just been shuttled all over, never really had a consistent role for all that long at a time before he'd have to change teams again. I still think there's more there, and I really hope that this game is a sign that in the preseason and regular season, the Bucks are going to try and tap into it more. Because, again, this is bringing in a guy who gets waived middle of the season, figuring out the contract, giving him opportunities, seeing him succeed. This is the kind of it's almost like a Miami Heat thing, right? Of bringing in someone that really does not have much acclaim and turning them into a real role player. That's how you sustain an expensive luxury tax team when your free agent and draft options are really just very scattershot and limited at best.
Yeah, Bucks culture better than Heat culture, baby.
They both lost to PJ Tucker, so they're at least equal, I think, is fair to say.
But no, you're absolutely spot on. If you can actually these are more players that are on Giannis's timeline. We're gathering more of those players, like Jevon Carter, like a Bobby Portis, those type of players. As this group starts to age out a little bit, George Hill has done great work for this team in the past. I feel like this is a passing of the torch season.
Yeah, I think so too. Also, well, let's talk about George. I think it makes sense to talk about these guys hand in hand. Played 13 minutes or so. Looked good. Looked healthy.
He was fine.
Moved around
like
well.
if he's moving off ball, he's going to be a smart defender. He's not going to do too much. I think that's a perfect role for him.
I think those two played together, I'd say almost all of Hill's or most of Hill's minutes. So George was plus 10 to Jevon's plus 12. So those minutes together, which again could be a very good sign for the Bucks if those two are like a good backup backcourt combo, especially if there are games where Drew's going to miss some time or whatever else. He made his only shot, which was a 3, which goes back to our last conversation about George Hill, where you're like, it'd be great if he could be like the last good Bucks George Hill, but actually shoot. We're not really seeing that part, but he made both of his free throws, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, looked good on defense, 1 turnover. Just thought, yeah, it looked really good, but I'm glad they didn't force him into being the true backup ball handler, because I don't know, that might still be too much for this version of Hill, but letting him play with guys like Jevon or the other ball handlers might be perfect for him, because I do think that is where he's best right now is, off ball, even if it's with the other bench guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the most ideal role for him.
Where should we go next?
Let's go. Let's talk about Serge.
I was thinking the same thing. He won me over. I was very, as I texted you, I was very down on Serge at one point in this game.
Yeah, he did bring it back in the latter half of the game, but I don't know what specifically it was, but I could not stop laughing at what Serge was doing. He looked too old to be out there, but it's not in a bad way. Like, he didn't look like he was like everyone is stronger, quicker than him, like not an athleticism thing, like it just. He looked like Danny Glover saying he's too old for this stuff. like why is Serge Ibaka out in this game right now? That's sort of what I was thinking.
I did think it was a little funny that he played as much as he and Bobby both played as much as he did, given they do have Marques Bolden on the training camp roster, figures to be prominent Herd player this year. He is like a true center. Like, it's not like there's no other center options like we've seen in the past. Bobby actually played 20 and a half minutes, which is pretty surprising. One last Jevon thing. He played just under 19, so significantly less than, I think, the group of guys who are like, they'll probably play with injuries, but they're not locked into the rotation. Like, Nwora plays 28, Beauchamp plays 27, Mamu plays 21 and a half. Like, I thought that was something there. But yeah, Serge, like, he does some things well. He can shoot. It's 1 for 1 from 3. Shots. Blocked a couple shots, 2 shots. Active on the offensive glass. Memphis was small, but Serge, is getting after it. 4 offensive rebounds in 15 minutes for Serge Ibaka. His hands are
it's Thon Maker-esque.
Like pure cinder blocks. I don't know how. He was only charged with 1 turnover. Like, there at one point, the official scorer of this game, with a straight face, saw a pass bounce off of Serge's stone mitts. That's where the T sound came from. And charged a turnover to someone else, which is just unfair. At one point, he lost like a wide open pass, but then like he recovered it and then shot a terrible hook shot. Like, there's some good. And I see the vision of why they wanted him. I think he's a vet who's not going to qualm about his playing time. I think he does the things that they generally want a center to do. I don't need to see him every night, man.
It's tough. It's tough out there. It's just, it reminded me of like Thon Maker hands.
Yeah, it's certainly Thon hands for sure.
It was tough to watch at some points. Like, he did a lot. He was in good defensive positions. He was good.
Yeah.
Like, very, very smart in terms of like his offensive and defensive positioning. That's what sort of won us over at the end in the second half. But my goodness, like, I know he's famous for his skincare routines and rubbing celery on his face or whatever he's doing. I think that's something he actually did.
I think it is.
Like, more power to you, Serge. Your skin looks incredible.
Yeah.
But like, whatever you're doing, like, don't moisturize your hands that much. I think you need to wear gloves when you're doing this, bro, because your hands are too smooth at this point. Like, your skincare routine is great, but it's being an active detriment to your basketball skills.
So you know how we've talked about before that we don't like when Brook is not involved enough. Like when Brook just stands at the 3-point line, we don't like that. We want him to do a little more. I don't feel the same way about Serge. When Serge is out there, either go get a rebound or space. He provides spacing. That's a real benefit. But like him in traffic trying to handle the ball and either shoot or pass somewhere else, like, it just didn't work. Like,
it's so funny.
It's not one or two positions. Like, it just did not work ever, really, for the Bucks in this game. You can set screens, maybe roll to the rim, but just don't pass to him. Just let him get the rebound, the Kobe assist. I don't know, man, but
he's not a short roll big either.
No,
absolutely not.
Like he can work. I think I still believe he can work in this team. You just need to very carefully limit what he's asked to do. And again, I think in a game where Brook plays more than 15 minutes, Giannis plays, there's much less that he's going to be involved in. But in the games where like everybody doesn't play and Serge plays a lot, there's going to be, I'm going to pull some hair out, man.
It's going to be funny. It's going to be funny to say the least. Like, obviously, I think Serge is going to play more than he did last season for this team.
Probably a little bit.
Bigger role because they're going to be more careful with Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
And I think
he's gonna have some starts probably, maybe, or it'd be like the third big if like they do Bobby Giannis again. One of the other.
if I think Brook is not going to play all 82. Like,
no, yeah, I agree, but I think they could either start Bobby Giannis like they started Bobby in this game.
I don't think they do. I think they start Serge.
I don't know. It might be a matchup.
That's true, but if it's like a Tuesday against Orlando, as our usual comparison goes, I think you start Serge.
Yeah, you might.
I think that's just gonna be what. Can you think of another team besides Orlando that we can use quick? It's got to be Orlando.
This year, Indiana or Utah.
Oh,
Utah.
Indy, yeah.
Utah is going to be the worst team to watch in the league.
Yeah, or San Antonio is going to be more fun than them.
Yeah, San Antonio, at least they have Keldon. I mean, Keldon's a little hurt now. I think he's going to play by regular season, but
I think so.
Keldon Johnson is at least a noteworthy player. By the time Utah plays games.
Sexton.
Okay, that's a good point.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I did too. I actually did too.
But no, I think it's probably Indy. Or it's Orlando. Like,
Indy at least. Indy has Tyrese Halliburton, and we'll see what Mathurin looks like.
I mean, I guess Orlando is Paolo. And
Orlando actually has a lot of. I think it's Utah. But you're not going to see. It has to be an East team because we're only going to see Utah twice.
It's not Detroit.
No,
like they're going to be too good.
It might be Indy. As much as I like Halliburton,
who else is there? Like Buddy Hield and Miles Turner are going to.
Oh, dude, no, it's Washington.
Is it though? Because like Bradley
they're gonna
Beal's
suck.
good.
No, but they always suck. How good is he? If they suck every year,
that's fair.
I'm sorry, Brad.
Kuzma's
Brad's going to tweet about this, but Porzingis is good for 40% of the games.
Kuzma's good.
Ish.
I think he's good.
I think if he started out as a Laker, we would talk about him as much as we talk about O'Shea Brissett.
That's not true. Kyle Kuzma is actually. I would take Kyle Kuzma on the Bucks right now.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he'd fit in.
No, I think he would.
No, off court wise, I don't think he would.
What's off court?
He's been a noted idiot about a couple things.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
So
I take it back.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the game. Serge, he's going to frustrate us, but I see the vision. That's it. He's an imperfect player. But I think the skills that he has do fit well.
He's an imperfect player with perfect skin.
That's the Serge Ibaka story. I think now we start to get to the deeper bench guys no matter what. Should we go Mamu? I think the last player we haven't covered who got an upstock.
Yeah, I think Mamu. The other guys,
we can kind of blaze through the other guys after Mamu.
Yeah. Mamu had some good finishes. He was getting to the rim. I like that. He had some nice little in and out finishes. I like that a lot.
Yep. So he's 1 for 5 from deep, which is not characteristic for Mamu. I think we both are believers in that jumper at this point.
I think he's a better shooter than he demonstrated in this game.
Correct. Made both of his free throws. He was 5 for 6 from 2.
Yep.
So really efficient finisher. What do you have? 4 rebounds and 3 assists in this game?
Yeah.
3 turnovers. The game got so sloppy.
And this is a guy who's played the most basketball of any Milwaukee Buck, like this year.
Who played in this game?
Yeah, I mean, he's played more than Giannis.
That's
Like,
true.
he played summer league, bro.
Oh, I didn't factor summer league. I was thinking Giannis went deeper in the tournament, so it'd be him. But yeah, Mamu also played summer league, which I think this
summer
is
league, then national team, and then
I think it's great for him though.
for sure. He's a guy who always takes advantage of every opportunity. Like he's a guy who wants to work, wants to put in the work. Great human being by all accounts. And it's showing. Like he's taking advantage of every opportunity that's presented to him.
Let me talk about the idea I pitched to you, and I think I also shared on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this.
I think, there's position battles happening around the Bucks, like the Carter Hill thing, I think is still ongoing. Lindell Wigginton, not too great to put himself in the conversation there for backup point guard, but we can talk about
better than AJ Green.
We can talk about Wigginton Green. That's not a position battle, that's a two-way battle. But although it's mostly firmed, I mean, like the two guard stuff is up in the air. I think Sandro Mamukelashvili. Shveli? Is it Shvili? I think it's Shvili.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to Mamu, I forgot again how to entirely say it. And Jordan Nwora are in a position battle to be like basically the offensive spark plug in the deeper part of the bench, which sounds so like obscure, but I think it's a real thing. And this player could be an everyday rotation player if either of them are good enough. Obviously, Mamu still dealing with the two-way thing, so a little bit farther away from it. But you can figure that out. You can move a 15th guy if you have to. It gets a little messy now that they are full, but it is figure outable. I think Mamu might end up on top of this thing, is my hot take. Like I think by the time, and maybe that's why Nwora is getting the start and all the opportunities so they can move him. But I think Mamu, like both of them, they don't line up exactly positionally, but kind of 3-4s. The 3 more theoretical for Mamu than it is Nwora, but if you look at their actual skill sets, offensive first players who can shoot and just score themselves, I think Nwora can score with a little less help than Mamu, but I think Mamu might end up being more consistent offensively. And then the defense just has to be figured out. I think Nwora is ahead right now, and we've talked about his progression there, but he's not a defensive stopper by any means. So I think this is going to be a really fun one to watch. Two guys who will both play a lot during the preseason. And I do think they're kind of competing for the same role, even if like body type wise, they're such different players.
For sure. I think that's pretty spot on. I think they are really competing for the same sort of role. It's really funny to think that way because I feel like it's a perfect encapsulation of what the modern NBA is becoming is when you get a score first guard who's like primarily like handles the ball versus like a big, like an actual big who's going to be like doing the same sort of thing, and they're competing for the same kind of role.
Yeah,
a championship contender. Like it's so perfect. But I think it's apt. I think it's fitting. I would honestly probably prefer Mamu.
This is why this was a little bit of it. I hope Mamu gets one of the starts this preseason with some of the core players. I really want to see him play with 1 to 2 other bigs, and I want
to see him play as a 3.
Be a wing player. It doesn't have to be cleanly a 3 for me, but like guard forwards, even if it's big forwards. Like you could figure that out if you're the Bucks. You can hide Giannis all over. Like you have a lot of weird flexibility with this team. That's what you said is so spot on. Where the league is going, it's like it's all skill sets and roles now. Like Bruce Brown is like a 4-5. Jokic is a point guard, basically. Like, I think Michael Porter Jr. probably does more like 2-guard stuff, but he's 6'10". Like, I'm just a lot of nuggets here. But
KD is basically a 2.
Yeah, KD is, but when he was with Golden State, he was kind of a 5 at times. Like that's where he had the highest block rate. Like the league is just leading into like, let's not just say the smallest guy is the 1 and the biggest guy is the 5 and yada yada. And that's why it's fun. So yeah, I want to see Mamu play true wing with other position players. And like, does he hold up? Can he guard? Like, let's see who played in this game. I mean, this is kind of a bad example because it's all random. Like, could he hang with John Conchar, who actually has been a pretty good NBA player? Could he hang with John Conchar?
He's a solid shooter.
Like, could Mamu hang with him on the perimeter all game? Like, that's what I'm going to look for with the Mamu possessions. Because I agree with what you said earlier. He's a better shooter than we saw. And if you assume he's like let's say 38% from deep to be not too optimistic, but it's a good shooter. And he clearly can get to the rim, and he's really good at finishing, and he does a lot of dynamic stuff, like with the dribble handoffs, and if the Bucks are going to screen more, he could be really useful in doing that because he's going to have a burst that a guy like Brook Lopez won't have off of a dribble handoff or a screen. Like, if he can hang defensively, why couldn't he be in the rotation? Like, why not? Like, what doesn't he do at that point?
Yeah, I think he would possess more NBA-ready skills than Jordan Nwora at that point.
I think he's more well-rounded and just on a game-to-game basis. Like, I think there's Nwora games where he's going to be great, but I think we've seen Mamu flash and, like, pop off without needing all the touches. I mean, of course, he shot 11 times in this game in 21 minutes. But
I think that's pretty good because Mamu is more apt as a finisher than Jordan Nwora, and this is a role for a finisher.
Yeah, I think you need to do both, and that's where he has the edge. And also, like, imagine the rebounding if they can really roll out lineups that are like Giannis, Mamu, Brook Lopez. Like, I do think if they can live defensively, and we already talked about the other thing that helps Mamu.
Put Drew and Jevon out there.
I was gonna say the other thing that helps is you have so many great defenders on this team too. Like, that lineup might be. Like, stuff like that, like, they could really lean into, all right, you're smaller, you're going to get up shots, we're going to mash you. Like, it's going to hurt to play us, and we're going to get multiple possessions. Even if our half-court offense isn't as good, like, we'll win the attrition battle, which is how they won the championship. I don't know, man. I need to see more. Well, I'm not there yet, but I do think there's a universe where Mamu becomes a pretty important bench player for the Bucks.
I'm becoming a Mamu believer.
I am too. The stuff he did with Georgia, like, it changed my calculus on him big time.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to get out on Jordan Nwora.
I know you're more out than me. I'm going to track this battle all preseason because I do think with Ingles out for so long and TBD what he looks like when he gets back, Khris out for a little while, like, there's that wing role, and I think Beauchamp, he's going to play. I just think it's a little different. I think these guys, they have a shot to at least early season earn some minutes.
Beauchamp is like, what do we do? Like, who's going to be the second star when Khris gets old, sort of thing.
All right. There's some folks who would have Mamu in that conversation. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one.
I'm saying this.
I'd love to be wrong. Love to be wrong in that respect. But I think now we're at the end of the bench, guys.
Yeah, let's do AJ Green and Lindell together.
Yeah. Also, we should have seen more TA in this game. I'm sorry, but we should have.
He had 5 personal fouls in 12 and a half minutes. So,
and I love it.
He made it pretty challenging. He made his only shot, missed both of his free throws, had a turnover, 5 fouls. It's just a vintage Thanasis performance.
He's back.
He didn't hurt anyone. He didn't hurt anyone. That's a positive. Not a dirty player, just naked aggression. Is that what Michael Scott called the foul in the pickup game on The Office? Yeah. Naked aggression. That's Thanasis everything. There, we covered Thanasis. That's the whole Thanasis recap.
There we go. I love you, TA. But AJ Green, who's the other Bucks rookie on this team that I keep forgetting exists.
Yeah, the other two-way just pops up, and there he is.
I just assume Lindell has the two-way. I feel like it's mean and it's wrong, but I just assume he does.
I think he made some ground toward it today. A little bit, not much. I didn't think either played well. No. I thought I'll let you go, but just very briefly, I thought AJ Green was pretty good process. Just the results weren't there. Lindell, the tenacity that we like from him was there. The process was just okay. He's 3 for 5 from the field, but a lot of kind of tough plays as the ball handler. He has 3 turnovers in 13 minutes. The good and the bad was there. I thought it was kind of sloppy and not the kind of refined play I hope to see from him after he really impressed us in Summer League.
Yeah. I think, like, you're right. Neither player really played super well. I think it showed the dichotomy of those two as a player because AJ Green is literally out there to be like, oh, I have the ball, I'm shooting a 3. That's it.
Our friend Jim Osweiski tweeted a quote from him where basically he said, AJ Green said, like, I don't remember what player it was, like Giannis, Chris Drew, somebody, but he was basically like, they keep telling me if I get the ball, I'll shoot. And I think you could tell in this game that he really took that to heart. And he was like, I'm not going to get yelled at for not shooting, guys. I'm going to shoot. The problem is he only made 1 of 5.
Yeah, but like you said, it's good process. Like that's what his role should be. Like, hey, you have the ball. You have the ball for a reason. Shoot the damn ball.
Yeah, it
But
feels like
I feel like Lindell is more of like a well-rounded player and
yeah.
is capable of doing more. Like he could be in the role where he's just a standstill shooter, but he can do more.
Yeah, it's just that the pieces didn't all come together cleanly in this game. Like Lindell is kind of like if Jevon is like a very limited version of Drew Holiday in some ways, right? And again, obviously Drew much better, but you know, the rough outline is there, but it's just like not as good at a lot of stuff. I think Lindell is kind of that to Jevon Carter in turn of just like another small, I think he's even smaller guard who is a tenacious defender and can handle a bit and shoot a bit, but it wasn't all coming together for me. I thought he played okay, but not great. The AJ Green thing, I still think they're basically trying to like, oh, we don't have to give up the salary and take Duncan Robinson for free. We have Duncan Robinson at home. I think that's what they're trying to do. Not a great first game, but you can't judge a shooter off their first game. I still think he's going to mostly play with the herd, obviously, but the way he releases, I do think is interesting. He has a very high release for how fast it is. I see the vision, and if he can get some reps and knock down those shots, he'd be a great guy to have either on two-way or end of bench, something like that. I thought he wasn't terrible defensively, but didn't see a ton, didn't play that much, only 12 minutes. I think in the back-to-back, we'll probably see a lot of these guys, and then we can analyze more. I see the vision, but even more than Serge, just the results were not there at all yet.
Yeah, just not there.
It's gonna be. This is a guy who's gonna score 35 in a random herd game where he's like 10 for 11 from deep, and it's gonna be so much fun. That's the vibe.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. It's gonna be white hot.
Yeah. Emphasis on white. Shout out AJ Green. Luca Vildoza.
He did play in this game.
He exists. I'm kind of surprised he's still here.
Me too, honestly.
Like, is he actually going to play with the herd?
I don't know.
I mean, it's lining up for that. Like, there's realistically, unless he's been told or he thinks that he is also in contention for the two-way, AJ Green. It's obviously not Mamu's. Unless they found a way to sign Mamu, which I find unlikely. They can't trade Nwora right now. I don't like, who would you cut if you had to cut someone? Like, it's really,
you can.
No, I mean, strategic wise, like actual rotation wise, probably have to be TA. And I don't think you can do that.
You're banned for the pod.
I just don't think you can do that.
No, take it back right now, Ty.
I'll take it back. I'll take it back.
Yeah, there you go.
George Hill, it's not going to happen. I just don't think there's a roster spot there right now. Maybe by February there's a way to do that, but unless he's in line for a two-way spot, there's no way he gets a roster spot with the Bucks. Maybe he just wants to impress and maybe got another team. There's not many minutes here. Like this spot for him, Lindell and Marques Bolden. Excuse me. It's very much like, okay, you get to be on the herd if you're here through this, and you sign there, you get $50K. I think they get up to like 3 or 4 affiliate players, so we could see all of these guys. But just, as we've talked about, especially with Adam before, it's like a proven player overseas, Luca Vildoza. It's kind of, or not overseas, but out of country, internationally. Would be surprising, I think, if he was a herd guy, but that's what it's kind of shaping up to be.
Yeah, I'm surprised because, like you said, everyone else like Bolden, Lindell, like
very obvious herd can't.
Yeah, they're herd guys. Yeah. But like, what is Luca Vildoza doing?
I mean, I think it'd be good for the herd and for the other guys' development because the passing is still the Luca magic. Like in Summer League, it wasn't there. In this game, I was like, he's okay. Didn't really stand out. Those games we saw last year, I don't know what it was. That pop has not been there since like his ooped at the Gnosis and that one game. But hopefully it comes back. This game, I mean, he played less than 5 minutes. He made 2 free throws, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal. I think 1 turnover. It's just whatever. It was hard to stand out in that role. But I just have not seen the eye-popping stuff. I'd like to see it again because it's just so fun. Again, would be a super fun herd player if that's what happens. I just, truthfully, after he and Rajon got cut and Rajon went to Australia, I just assumed Luca was going to go somewhere else. So kind of surprised he's still here.
We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just waiting to hitch a ride overseas. and just going to part ways with the Bucks. After the Abu Dhabi trip, he'll just be like, okay, I just want to be. I wanted to take the PJ out of country.
We got over here. We got over closer. Now I'm going to go to Spain or wherever and play somewhere in EuroLeague. It could be. Yeah, I mean, guys do it for like the exposure, but I feel like that's more of a summer league thing than preseason thing generally. Yeah. But who knows? We'll track Luca Vildoza. Last guy, Marques Bolden. 1 for 2, made a 3, missed a shot, I think closer to the rim, 1 rebound. He had 4 fouls.
Yeah,
Jesus.
He really did. Yeah, he had 4 fouls in 4 minutes and 47 seconds.
Whoa, Thanasis is threatened.
No, what do you mean threatened? It's worse. It's way.
I know. I'm saying he's coming for TA's spot there.
I know. He's this year's Jevon Delorier. Like, have fun. Like, I hope you do well in the herd.
The issue with that, I'm still a little upset they gave up on Delorier, given the defensive metrics he had with the herd. And I wrote about this on the GSPN Substack.
You did?
Go find it. The herd defense went from great to terrible in the Jevon split over like the whole season of minutes. And the Thunder just got him in a G League trade, which assumably. Well, I don't even know what word I was going for, which probably was to open up minutes Seemingly? I don't. Assuredly? I think assuredly is more assumably to open up minutes for Marques Bolden with the herd. I think now that makes more sense, the Delorier trade. But I don't know, man. Delorier, I think, was kind of good. Anyway.
No, I mean, like, he was good for sure. He was definitely good with the herd. He's terrible with the Bucks.
Yeah, it was his preseason game. Remember, I was out. I totally 180 to become a fan of him.
Maybe I'm saying, like, if I'm saying he's this year's Delorier, I'm saying he's going to be great with the herd.
That's true. I think the difference is, and it was on display here, Delorier probably a better defender. I mean, certainly the first 5 minutes not great for Bolden. The whistle was kind of weird tonight. I'm not going to read too much into it, but
I got someone asked me, like, is it too early to complain about the officiating? And so I was like, yes, absolutely.
No,
it's way too early to complain about the officiating.
I think we can say in this game the whistle was mid. I'm not saying it was anti-Bucks. I do, because then we can't evaluate Marques Bolden's defense because he ends up with 4 fouls. But he made his 1-3. He shot, I think, 39% in the G League last season. So I think basically the Bucks are saying, and I kind of think this is all, maybe not. For me, though, all of this is coming together. Signing Serge and bringing in Bolden instead of Delorier. They saw Giannis with Papa Giannis. And again, maybe this was in display before, but I think it crystallized and like, Giannis with a non-shooting center is just not it, dude. Like, it just doesn't look good.
Like, so you have to have at least mid-range ability.
Right. And I think I'm going to pull up Delorier's stats. I think he shot them, but certainly less comfortably than Bolden did. So I feel like that's the logic here is like, if we're going to try and develop a big guy in the G League, which we've kind of done this with Dragan Bender before. We had to cut him to get Marv. Whatever else.
Christian Wood. Let's get a guy who really gives us that spacing, and we'll work on the defense, and hopefully it comes along. But, I mean, yeah. Oh, God. No, Jevon did not shoot threes at all during the regular season last year. 5.3%, it says here. I don't know Goodness.
I don't know if the stat is actually right or not, but not great.
That is atrocious.
1 for 19. 1 for 19.
Oh my God, that's actually right.
Yeah.
5%.
I know the G League stat site has been weird, but yeah, I think safe to say Bolden a much more reliable. Let me pull up his.
I want to know if he started 1 for 1 and he was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready to pull now.
More.
Meanwhile, Bolden last season, 17 for 43, so small sample, but 39.5%. Before that, in the prior 2 seasons, he was 2 for 12, so kind of a Brook Lopez added it as he went thing. Still has to prove that he's a true shooter, but certainly he was firing away for Salt Lake City. He took more than 2 per game, which is actually pretty much a lot for a 7-footer. I think he's 6'10", a big man, a true big man.
Yeah. Jevon Delorier, man, he was on a Christian Yelich shooting streak.
No, let's not. Come on, let's not do. We're having so much fun, Rohan.
It's okay. We can dance on the ashes of the Brewers because the Bucks are starting.
That's true. Bolden did play with the Cavs the last 2 regular seasons. No, he didn't. The 2 years before. Sorry, I'm getting my years mixed up. But he was 1 for 3 in 7 total games with Cleveland from 3 as well. So, sniper. I don't know why. That number doesn't help contextualize anything. But
he's a better shooter.
Yeah, and that's going to be, we'll watch him defensively. Again, I think there's going to be a game or 2 in the preseason where these guys get to play a lot more. That'll be interesting tape for us to look at and see, can he be a defender? Could this be a guy who is a center option going forward? Maybe not to start, but how long is Serge going to be the backup? We'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, that's everyone who played.
We might do this I don't know if we'll do a pod for every game, but we might break down how everyone plays in preseason because we're excited, man. We're so excited.
I missed Bucks basketball, man.
Yeah. Same.
Here's some fun nuggets that I picked up.
I love fun nuggets.
MarJon Beauchamp, who's he FaceTiming after the game yesterday? Obviously Gronk and Flavor Flav.
What?
Yeah, check his Instagram story. Yeah.
Gronk it sounds like he's going to be a legend.
No, Gronk and Flavor Flav were together for some reason, and then Beauchamp's FaceTiming him.
I feel like that to me just makes a ton of sense.
And then Pat Connaughton, he's fully embracing transforming into a Wisconsinite because obviously we're recording this on Sunday where the Packers and Patriots are playing. And he's tweeting about how, hey, he grew up a Patriots fan, but after the last 4 years, the Packers feel like his team. So he's just hoping everyone has fun out there. That's literally what he said.
What was this on Twitter?
Yes, on Twitter. Let me find the exact tweet. What did he say here? Tough day for me. Grew up a Patriots fan. Been converted to Packers fan over the last 4 years. I hope both teams play hard and have fun. Hashtag Pats Nation. Hashtag Go Pack Go. So he's converting. He's converted to a Wisconsin.
I was going to say, we all knew this. I mean, this is...
I know, but he's making it more official. He's changing his football team.
That is a big... from the Pats. I guess the Pats... Yeah, you probably got all you're going to get out of the Pats for quite a while here. But good time to switch, I think, for Pat. But glad to see it. I feel you, Pat. Although I think my Saints, we'll dive into my football fandom some other time. But I think they're actually kind of manhandling the Vikings over in London, despite being without their starting quarterback, running back, receiver, and an offensive lineman. So
the Vikings are winning.
Oh, they are? Big Tim is texting me saying they're manhandling the Vikings. It is a close game, though. Saints have the ball down 3. So
I swear I just got a notification that the Vikings.
This is why my dad is not a neutral observer, because he knows I at least used to root for the Saints, and he just texts me these things like they're so much better and they're down 10. It's like, okay.
Well, they're on the Minnesota 42 with under 2 minutes left.
It's 4th down. I'm gonna go watch this game. But anything else for Rohan on the Bucks now that we're back?
I think we're all wrapped up here. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thanks for staying tuned. Hopefully, we're going to have a big year at GSPN, all over GSPN, but Todd, 4th year doing the Eurostep with you. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to continue doing this for a long time going forward because it's a ton of fun.
It's been an honor and a privilege, Rohan. Wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. And, of course, our extended GSPN fam as well. And Adam and Jordan are laughing at us saying 4th season. They're going on their 8th or 9th season, I think. But we've been happy with our 4 years, and we're continuing to grow. So
for sure. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure you check out gspn.info for all things Eurostep Podcast Network. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to this or watching this pod random, and we will talk to you next time.